Hey, everybody. This is Erik J. Olson, your host for this episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. On this podcast series, we interview America's top managing partners to find out how exactly they're running their law firms, growing their law firms, and most importantly, how they're getting cases today. What is working and what is not. And today I have the pleasure of having on with me Hunter Garnett. Hey, Hunter.
Hey, howdy.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Erik?
Good. Well, I appreciate you making the time. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your firm?
Sure. So I grew up in North Alabama. I'm the oldest of seven. And I'm going to tell you a lot of personal things and try to hit high points because they have really shaped who I am today and the lawyer I am today. So I'm the oldest of seven. My four youngest siblings are adopted. I've got six sisters. Right now, I'm the only boy. I married a girl from my hometown, Hannah. She's the fifth of seven. We met at my 14th birthday party. I've been married 7 years now. Got married in law school. I grew up on a farm. My grandfather did a little bit of everything: chicken houses, cows, row crops. Started my first business at 14 there on the farm, selling feed in a bag. And looking back, that's when I should have known I would eventually have some type of my own business. So did that all through school, was real involved with FFA, Future Farmers of America, probably the most influential organization out there for me. Helped kind of fine tune my public speaking skills, my communication skills, taught me how to talk to people younger than me, older than me, and everywhere in between. I went to college at Mississippi State and studied agricultural economics. And about 75% of the way through my undergraduate degree, didn't know what I was going to do. And a professor whose wife was a circuit judge told me, I think you should go to law school. So I kind of took that as a sign, took the LSAT. My wife and I my girlfriend at the time, were very serious. We wanted to get married soon. She had another year of school left at a Samford University, which has a good law school. So the Lord just opened the right doors, did well in the LSAT, went to law school, still thinking, probably not going to be a lawyer. I'll go to DC and do policy work. I'll, do something. My heart was still in farming and agriculture.
Yeah.
So got into law school. I thought trial work was the last thing I'd ever want to do. Didn't grow up watching Law and Order. Just that kind of stuff didn't interest me. So I had a buddy who convinced me to compete in the mock trial tournament as a freshman. And he was all gung-ho, and I was dreading it. And we got into the mock courtroom and went through our first round. And by the end of it, I was all fired up. I mean, I knew I was going to be a trial lawyer. And
That's
he
awesome.
was the opposite. He had totally changed gears. He's writing wills and probating estates now.
Is that right?
But that's what gave me the bug. So all through law school, was on the national trial team and knew I wanted to be a trial lawyer. Just didn't know what area of law that would be in. Honestly, I thought personal injury would be the last thing I would get into. Grew up in a very conservative, blue-collar, anti-tort law type environment. But I got a job offer with some very, very talented attorney referral-based lawyers up in Huntsville, Alabama, close to my hometown, 45 minutes from home. And these guys were superstars, two of the best trial lawyers in the northern half of Alabama. So I spent 4.5 years with them, and it didn't take me long at all to figure out, man, God has prepared me every step of my life for this role that I'm in right now. And I had no idea that that's what I wanted to do. Didn't take me long to figure out I loved representing real people. I loved standing up in the courtroom and next to my client and being able to display to 12 members of my community that I care about my client.
Yeah.
And I'm here. So that's what I did for 4.5 years as an associate at a very good firm, learned the ins and outs. I describe it as like a residency. And then I settled a big case last year, kind of had the seed money to do my own thing. I don't have children yet. And so it
Smart.
came down to do it now or maybe miss out on the chance to ever do it. So I started my law firm in December of 2021. I came in and was renting space from an older lawyer. He's in his late 60s with a good personal injury practice. Our offices were 2 doors down from each other, and we found ourselves spending an hour a day talking about cases. And, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what you should do in your cases. And it was going both ways. And eventually we decided, why don't we just partner up? And so that's how Garnett, Patterson, Lawyers came to be.
Yeah, it seems like he was a mentor to you at the right time.
Yeah, he's a great business owner. I mean, he is a good marketer. He speaks fluent Spanish, which that was a big draw to me. Been speaking Spanish 45 years. It's an underserved market up here, and it was a way for me to diversify my practice. And so now about probably between 30 and 40% of our clients are Spanish-speaking individuals.
That's really interesting that you say that, because we've been working with our law firm clients to implement Spanish translations on their website, not only so that it can be read easier by the Spanish population in their state, but also can be found easier, because when someone searches a Spanish phrase like auto accident lawyer near me, when they search for that using these Spanish words, only the Spanish translation websites come up. So it's really interesting that you have that many cases. That's a lot. That's a lot of Spanish cases. You're really servicing the Hispanic community quite well.
Yeah, and that's where I know we're going to get into these questions, but I haven't had a whole lot of success through paid digital marketing. So SEO, I haven't tried PPC since I went out on my own. It did not work at my last firm for us. Facebook ads, they didn't get any traction at my last firm. And so right now, my only digital marketing is organic social media. It's mostly my personal Facebook page. And then my paralegal, she's a native Spanish speaker, through her personal Facebook page. But we get a lot of cases that way.
Yeah.
But I found right now the best use of my time is a grassroots effort. So, go into medical providers that cater towards the Hispanic community, Hispanic community events. Just this past weekend,
absolutely,
like a backpack drive, 500 kids, 200 parents, and so we sponsored it. But it was only $250. We could have given that money, hung a banner, probably never gotten any return on it. But rather than do that, I haven't covered this, but I identify as a cowboy. Okay, so I've got some horses, and on weekends I try to ride them. And my wife has a couple of ponies, little mini Shetland ponies. And so we took one of them's bomb-proof. She's 20 years old, gentle as a dog. And so we took her to this backpack drive, and she was the star of the show. I mean, every kid there had to put their hands on her. We let them all sit on her and take their pictures. And I think you get a lot more out of community involvement if you're actually involved and given a little bit of resources and money as well.
I think that's a really fantastic suggestion and story. I love it. You need to tap the network right away. Right? So when you're new in business and you just started a firm or any kind of business, we all have a network that we bring into our businesses. And it seems like sometimes people are hesitant to let their network know that they just started a firm. And I think that's a mistake. They should be shouting it from the rooftops. And I think it's almost like when they kind of try to do it on the down low, it's almost like they're hedging against possible failure or the shame of the failure that could come. But if you don't tell your own network what you're doing, then you're just more likely to fail, right? So you might as well go all in, tell everybody exactly what you're doing, show up at the community events, make it incredibly clear what you're doing so that there's no doubt when someone needs your help and you're in their network that they should be contacting you.
Absolutely. That's a 1,000% been my experience. I thought let me back up. At my old firm, we were all relationship networks, referral based. Okay. Mostly lawyers referring cases to us. I was getting a lot of cases direct from clients just because I'm from a blue collar community and I was the only lawyer a lot of these people knew. So when I went out on my own, I was vocal about it. And what I found is that people root for you. Whenever you're on your own, I mean, there's nothing more American than starting your own business. And I saw my referrals from regular people and from lawyers to a lesser extent tick up overnight. That's
great. That's great. Yeah. By the way, I did the exact same thing when I started my business, which eventually transformed into Array Digital. I gathered, and for anyone who's thinking about starting their own business or just recently did, this is a tip that you could use. I went through all of my contacts in the a paper-based address book, the online version of that, and I found every single person that I knew that I had a physical address for, and I sent them a piece in the mail that it was like almost like a wedding announcement, that quality, if you will, but it was me announcing my business, what I'm doing now. And if they know anyone, I wasn't soliciting them directly, but if they know anyone who needed my services, please send them my way. So yeah, you got to do exactly what I did, what Hunter did. You got to get out there and let people know. You know, I do want to come back a little bit to what you were talking about with advertising. And I think what you have found is not uncommon, even for a lot of our clients. We work with several law firms, and personal injury lawyers are pretty notorious for spending a lot of money on advertising, offline, online. One of our clients was spending a tremendous amount of money in their state. When they came to us, we picked it up. We continue to do it. But as we did that and worked on their website and their SEO, the leads from the website and SEO just overtook advertising to the point where they cut a significant budget for their advertising. They took it down to zero and put it all into SEO. And you talked about referrals, and a lot of people feel like the leads that come from organic results from Google non-paid are very similar quality to the referrals that they get. Are you finding the same thing? I know you're doing a little bit of, it sounded like maybe Google organic, but also like social media organic.
Yeah, my stuff's mostly dark social is my, I mean, I get a lot of cases from dark social from Facebook groups. Okay.
Okay. Can you explain dark social?
So dark social is like what you really can never see or trace. And I mean, that's my definition. I don't know if this is accurate. To basically people taking screenshots, people looking back in the archives, finding things deep in Facebook groups. That's what I define dark social.
Facebook groups. And so I haven't heard that phrase before. I thought I knew what you were talking about, but it's not open to everybody. That's the point, right?
Yeah. And also, so I'm in a lot of local Facebook groups, dozens. And if somebody, I've kind of trained my network. You need hundreds of advocates, in my opinion, as a personal injury lawyer, who are willing to step out of their comfort zone and recommend you anytime they hear the word accident or injury. Okay. And I spend more of my network marketing time building those relationships than anything else. Just influential teachers, pastors, insurance agents, small business owners, mortgage lenders, is people that have a similar networking mindset that I have. And so I've talked to them. And now when somebody posts personal injury lawyer recommendations in any local Facebook group within 100 miles of my business or my hometown, there's going to be somebody in there that says you should hire Hunter Garnett. Okay. And it's becoming where you post like in Huntsville here, there will be 10, 15, 20 of my former clients, friends say Hunter's the best. Okay.
Fantastic.
And I get some direct cases from that, but I've been working on this for years. And now I'm getting cases where it's this, for every one person that comments or posts on Facebook, there's 9 or 10 just watching. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're
it's a spectator sport.
Yeah. They're just checking it out. But they're finding lawyers the same way that these folks that post in these groups do. They're going to the groups and searching. And so I get a case every month where somebody's done research and they found, posts where I was recommended 20 times. I consider that to be dark social because it's nothing, there's no way to track it other than asking the person.
Yeah.
Another way, I'm getting some mass tort leads where people take screenshots of my post and send it to people off of Facebook. I consider that dark social. That person's not even on Facebook, but they're finding me through my efforts on Facebook.
That's great. So let's talk about your social media posts with the dark social in particular. Are you, when you post, so actually there's a couple of different scenarios. Let's talk first about when you post, right? So you're not responding to something, you're just posting something original. Well, what is your strategy for what you post or don't post?
So through my personal page, I try to be as engaging as possible. Okay. And in my opinion, to be a good marketer, what you have to understand is what the platform wants. Okay. And so for Google, for example, they want to answer questions. Okay. So you got to be answering questions. Facebook wants time on the app or the website. Okay.
Yep.
And so I post a lot of just fun, engaging stuff, tell me your I try to not make it corny. I try to make it personal, but I want to elicit comments, likes, shares. Okay. And that sends a signal to Facebook that, hey, Hunter's interesting. His personal page is interesting. That's 75, 80, 90%. And it's always personal. It's pictures of me and my family, me and my horses, me and my dogs, things like that. And then 1 out of 10, I'll post something like, just a reminder, hey, this is what I do. Okay. Here's who I've helped. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's the type of cases I handle. That's been my strategy for my personal page. On the business page, it's similar, but it's like 2/3 fun and engaging, 1/3 actual business post.
Okay. Now, did you start off on your own in December, or is this when you became a partnership? Okay.
We partnered up in February of 2022.
Good for you. That's really that this is a great success story. And especially I really like the part about mining Facebook. And in particular, Facebook is what it sounds like. I mean, I'm sure you're active on other social media as well, but is Facebook the real place that's getting you some engagement?
Results? Yeah, I mean, and I think it depends on your target audience. Who I market towards, they're on Facebook. I mean, they're just not, they're not on Instagram or TikTok. Well, they probably are, but Facebook just seems to be where my folks that I connect with are.
Yeah, and that's a really good point as well. And I think it's something that we could all learn from is that there's so many different social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. The list goes on and on and on. And we all have a preference or prefer to not even interact on social media. Like for me, like if I went down the route that you were going down, Hunter, before and became a farmer, which I probably will be one day, I'll say, screw all this. I'm going to go buy the farm. And at that moment, I probably won't ever use social media again. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So for me, like I, of course, just like everyone else, I find myself going down like a rabbit hole every once in a while and wasting 20 or 30 minutes. But I try to not do that. And I really would prefer to not do that. But I have to separate my own personal feelings about social media from what it does for my company and for our clients. That's where people are hanging out. So I need to go there regardless of how I feel, which it sounds like it's kind of the same conclusion you came to. Like Facebook's where your clientele are hanging out. You need to be there as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I don't know if I would use social media, but for being an entrepreneur. But if you're not using it as a lawyer, I mean, I think you're missing out.
I agree. And, you mentioned TikTok initially. There are some lawyers on TikTok that are really doing very, very well on TikTok. Oh, yeah. So there's one that I follow, Law by Mike. I mean, have you seen his? No. Really good, very high production quality, expensive video, clearly with a crew coming in and shooting and sets and props. But he has, the last time I checked, it was over 1 million. I think it was 1.2 million followers. This is a lawyer, right? Yeah. And I mean, like, hey, like the media loves lawyers, right? There's a whole lot of movies, way more movies about lawyers than digital marketers. But in real life, like it can be kind of hard sometimes, I would imagine, to talk about something or to figure out what to talk about that's related to something exciting in the law. Because, like, in any job, any industry, we all get buried by minutia, right? So, but if you can find an interesting way of discussing like a case that's in the public eye at the time, like the Johnny Depp case, like a lot of lawyers like kind of rallied around that, and they were talking about that for weeks and weeks and weeks during the trial and deconstructing it. Like if you can find something that's of interest to the public to talk about, it has to do with the case or the law, you're going to get a following and you're going to get leads out of it for sure.
Sports are a good one too. Every time a football player is arrested, you can get, everybody wants to talk about it. But I do think so. I think there's two different approaches to social media, and the approach that you're describing is a little different than what I'm doing, because I'm from a very rural blue collar community where they just don't know a lot of lawyers. I'm competing against 2 or 3 lawyers that from my hometown and the neighboring communities. Okay. And so really my purpose is to stay top of mind rather than grow my audience. It's to stay top of mind with my existing audience. I mean, with my wife and I both being one of 7, like just our I mean, just the people that know me, my siblings, my in-laws, my parents. I mean, that's 10,000 people or more. If I can stay top of mind with 10,000 people, where when they hear the words accident, injury, they think of me. I mean, I don't have to spend any money on advertising. I don't have to grow my audience at all.
That's great. Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. So speaking of growth, what are your growth plans for the future?
Well, so that's a constant trouble. You know, I think everybody's got the same kind of staffing issues. I've got 2 superstar paralegals. I mean, they are workhorses. They've both been sick the last couple of weeks on and off. And one of them just came, she had coronavirus, and she just came back Tuesday. And when I saw her, I told her, I said, do you remember when Hannah, my wife, went on her 2-week trip to Italy? And Lily was like, yeah, I remember that. And I said, when I saw her get off the plane, that was just one of the best feelings in the world. You know, I haven't seen your wife for 2 weeks. Okay. And I told Lily, I said, that's how I feel right now after you missing a week and a half of work with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So I got 2 superstar paralegals. I've got a legal secretary that works full-time for us. I've got 3 part-time legal secretaries that just kind of come and go. They're in school. They're starting their own businesses, and they were already trained. So that's worked out well. One of them's remote. And then I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who's great, newest member of our team. Looking to expand there for sure.
That's great. Well, good for you. Sounds like things are really clicking for you, and you've only been in business for 7-8 months. Good for you.
You said something earlier. You said it's great to have a success story. I think it's a little premature. You know, it's going to be a success. I have no doubt about that, but it's still very much a full-time project trying to build systems.
I'll say a success in the making. I know the feeling though, like certainly as the CEO of our company, I know where all the skeletons are hidden and all the problems. And so no matter what it looks like on the outside, I always know there's so much more work to be done. And I always want to ratchet up the quality and the speed. And I'm sure no matter where a business goes, the business owner is always going to feel that way. Right. But from the outside, I would say it looks like you guys are doing real well. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, Erik.
You got it. Well, if someone would like to get in touch with you, if they have questions, or maybe they have a case for you, maybe they know someone around you that's been in an accident, what's a good way for them to contact you?
So I'd like to share my cell phone number. It's basically attached to my body. And then, of course, my website's a good way. It's still a work in progress. And then, of course, my personal Facebook page, you're welcome to connect with me. I love connecting with other lawyers out there. It's just Hunter Garnett. I think you'll find me. It's all public. I make all my posts public because I want people to see what's out there.
Yeah, good for you. Let me read this off for the people that are just listening. Not everyone watches the video. So it's Huntsville Injury Lawyers, plural, injurylawyers.com. And the phone number is 256-221-8967.
Great.
All right, Hunter. I appreciate your time. That was really enjoyable. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Erik.
All right. Take care.